Welcome to Insight. I am your host, Bel Hernandez Castillo, coming to you from our Los Angeles studio on the Sunset Strip. Insight by Bel is the show that takes a look into the vibrant world of entertainment through a more personal lens. The people that work in the industry, whether they are in front or behind the scenes. And today, we look into the world of stand-up comedy. Our studios are literally a few blocks away from the world-famous Comedy Store, where I have had the pleasure of seeing some of the best comics in the world. But first, some insight into the world of stand-up comedy. According to Wikipedia, stand-up comedy began around the turn of the century, evolving from a variety of sources, including minstrel shows and vaudeville. Early stand-up comedians spoke directly to the audience as themselves without props or costumes, which distinguished these acts from vaudeville performances. Fast forward to the 1970s, where several entertainers became major stars based on their stand-up comedy performances at venues. Comics like Richard Pryor and George Carlin followed Lenny Bruce's acerbic style to become comedy icons. Stand-up then expanded from clubs, resorts, and coffee houses into major concerts in sports arenas and amphitheaters. When you think of the first highly visible Latino stand-up comics, beginning in the late 70s, there are only two recognizable names that fit the definition of a stand-up comedian: Puerto Rican-Hungarian Freddie Prinze and Mexican-American Paul Rodriguez. Some would say Cheech Marin as well, although he was more part of a duo comedy act, Cheech and Chong, who relied on skits more than stand-up comedy. Prince's meteoric career ignited when he made his first appearance on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson in 1973.
Welcome, Freddie Prinze.
Yeah.
Ready?
I come from two backgrounds, Hungarian and Puerto Rican. Vaya, I'm a Hungarian.
Only a year later, he was starring as Francisco Chico Rodriguez in the NBC TV series Chico and the Man.
Hey.
Oh, buenos dias.
What are you doing in here?
Oh, me?
Yeah, you. You see somebody else in the garage?
Garage. Looks to me like un basurero.
What's that supposed to mean?
Basurero, it means junkyard.
Get out of here and take your flies with you.
What flies?
Your flies. You people got flies all around you. And while you're standing here, your flies are getting together with my flies and making more flies.
The show was an instant hit, but cut short due to Prince's death in 1977. Paul Rodriguez got his start at the Comedy Store thanks to Mitzi Shore, the owner of the Comedy Store, who took a liking to him. In 1984, he landed his first TV show starring in A.K.A. Pablo, the show created by Norman Lear.
Hi, do you know me? My name is Paul Rivera, but when I travel, people don't know who I am. That's why I carry the Mexican Express card.
They say laughter is the best medicine, and it's not just a saying. It's been scientifically proven that laughing can help your mental and physical health. I got a huge dose of laughter in my interview with Paul Rodriguez, so stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Insight. A true pioneer in the field of comedy, Paul Rodriguez has been making audiences laugh for over 4 decades. Known for his observational humor and relatable stories, Rodriguez draws inspiration from his Mexican-American upbringing to create a unique and engaging act. In addition to stand-up comedy, Rodriguez has appeared in a variety of films and television shows, solidifying his status as an entertainment icon. He is one of the few stand-up comics that has been able to transition into other creative roles, such as writer, director, and producer for films, TV shows, and comedy specials. This is evidenced most notably in the original Latin Kings of Comedy, which he executive produced alongside Cheech Marin and George Lopez. His feature film, A Million to Juan, which he co-wrote and directed in 1994, was a hit. With a budget of only $380,000, it went on to gross $1.2 million. Rodriguez was voted one of the most influential Latinos in America and awarded the Ruben Salazar Award by the National Council of La Raza, now called Unidos, the largest national Hispanic civil rights and advocacy organization in the United States. Rodriguez has remained a constant force in his community and in the world of comedy throughout his career. However, in 2021, that was the year that shook Paul's world. He underwent a quadruple bypass, the house he bought for his parents burned down, and his accountant informed him that he was flat broke. But today he couldn't be happier. Adversity served to give him a new lease on life. Among other projects, he will soon be releasing a feature film he wrote and directed and produced. It is set to premiere in theaters in October. But let him tell you more about that. Here's my interview with Paul Rodriguez. You were born in Culiacan, and then your family moved up to the U.S., like a lot of families, like my family as well.
Yeah.
And you landed up, not in East LA, you landed in Compton, and then you joined the Air Force.
After years of migrant farm working and up and down, and we needed to settle down. My father had a bunch of kids, so he read an ad. It said Compton, a house for 4 bedrooms, $68. He thought the Virgin had answered all his prayers. No, she hadn't. It was kind of difficult. I didn't like it at first. I'd never seen a African American or African at all, coming from Sinaloa. But it turned out to be a blessing. I got my swagger, my cool. So it's all been good.
So you grew up, and then right out of high school, you decided to join the Air Force.
Uncle Sam called me. Yes, I'm of that age. I'm about to be 70, believe it or not. Uncle Sam called me, and I want to go to Marines. I've seen too many of those guys come back in boxes. So I went, and right after I got out of boot camp, it was over, and it was a blessing, and I was good.
You're so hilarious. Were you always funny when you were a kid? I mean, was it something that you did make people laugh?
I've always believed it's a gene defensive mechanism. I don't know what it is. I'm no psychologist, but my dad was a lot like me. My dad found humor in everything. And he had a rough life. I love my old man. Love my mother more, I think it's fair to say, but my old man was a great guy, and I'm glad God allowed me to have monetary success long enough for him to, his last 5 years of life were good. I would buy him his new car, and he was proud, but we lost him. My mom went through this terrible depression, but I made enough money that my dad knew that my family was going to be okay, and that's what he was more concerned than anything else. And indeed, bringing me to America was the biggest gift he ever gave me, because I remember I didn't want to come, but I had no say so. I was a kid. My brother George, the oldest, he was going, I don't want to be a gringo, although he looked more gringo than anybody else, had red hair, freckles. He looked just like Canelo Alvarez, as a matter of fact. Wow. Without the talent, And
so tell me, how did you get into comedy? How did that happen?
It happened by a lady named Anita Cano, a professor at Long Beach University, where I was attempting to get me a bachelor's and then go on to Stanford Law. I'm a veteran, minority. My grades were good. I was a shoo-in, And, I used to disrupt her class. So about a month into her class, she brought me aside. She goes, listen, you're really, really funny. But you're disturbing the rest of the class. We can't get nowhere. I find myself laughing. My husband is an accountant at the Comedy Store. Have you heard of it? I said, no. She goes, look, they have an amateur night on Mondays. I'll take you there. And if you're scared, I'll take some of the students and we'll back you up. Well, she did that. I went up on stage, and it was like I had found what I was born to do. I didn't even go back to her class. I just went on at it. Years later, I was asked to do the commencement speech for the class. And she says, I have another student who's really funny. I want you to help him out. And it was Gabriel Iglesias, the rest is history.
Oh, my God.
I know. I told Anita Cano, what are you doing being a professor? You know what the commission on my salary and especially Gabriel's salary would be? All I did for Gabriel is just basically say, here's the Comedy Store, here's the Laugh Factory. But, this talent, I saw it the minute I saw him, he was very nervous. He started doing his voice and stuff like that and said, whoa, I'm not William Morris. I see you have talent, and you understand him good. I just pointed at him one direction, and he did the rest.
So you got to the Comedy Store. Was it that's where you did your first appearance?
Well, you don't start at the Comedy Store. I started in Westwood. They had this kind of like the minor leagues, if you will. And if you were any good there, she'd move you on to Sunset, and she moved me right away. And I have great love and great respect for Mitzi Shore, who
She was like my comedy mom. To this day, when you walk into the comedy store, there's a big picture of me and all the people who are favorites. My name is the lights in the main room, and in her will, that's never to change. She's gone, and I missed her terribly. But if it wasn't for her taking an interest in me, who knows? Maybe I would have been a personal injury lawyer and been real rich right now.
And then in 1983, it was, you had a show. You were the star of your own sitcom.
Yeah,
AKA Pablo. How did that happen?
Well, I was performing in the main room, and a waitress came up to me and goes, "Hey, Norman Lear wants to talk to you," but I didn't take her serious because that was a running joke there. When you were upstage, they would say, "Hey, Spielberg wants to talk to you," and of course it was a joke. But I was about to walk away. She goes, "No, really, Norman Lear is out there," and I peeked, and it was him. He talked to me. I went to Universal. He gave me a deal. I went from sleeping in my car and then sleeping upstairs. Mitzi Shore had a room for all the comics. Some of them still live there, and to make $2 million. I went to the bank. I went crazy. But my parents a ranch. I bought myself a Porsche. Bought my dad a Cadillac, and within 6 months I was flat broke. That's how responsible I am. And I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Yeah.
But, you grow, you learn. It's I never thought I figured I'd give this a run, and then I'd stop and go to college.
So tell me about doing a sitcom. I mean, there was a buzz all over because I used to be an actress at that time, and we were so amazed, that this was a Latino and he had his own show. How was it? Was it hard? Was it scary?
It was fun. I knew it was never going to go anywhere because I tried to tell them that although all Latinos sound funny to them, to Latinos, we know this guy's from Nicaragua, this guy's from Cuban, this guy's Mexican, and that wasn't going to work.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Well.
They had my brother was Osvaldo. He was a Cuban guy, and my manager was a Puerto Rican who was one of the greatest actors, Hector Elizondo, and Joe Santos was my father. Katie Jurado, a great actress, was my mother. So my sister was from Venezuela, but we were a family. So to Latinos, when they saw it, they knew it was fake. I knew it was fake, but what was I going to tell Norman Lear? So I just shut up and I took the money. It had 8 episodes, and then I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. And I figured when this dies, I'll go back to college and finish this. But after that, Cheech Marin came into life, gave me Born in East LA. And after that, I knew I was never going to go back, no matter what,
So you have done so much in this industry, in this entertainment industry. You've done stand-up, sitcoms, you've done drama, you've done comedy and movies. And you've had your own talk show. You've done animated characters. You've also worked on big budget films. You worked on Beverly Hills, Chihuahua, which you did the voice. You did Blood Work. You worked with Clint Eastwood. And then you did Ali. Tell us about that. You played a real life character.
Freddie Pacheco.
A
very surly Cuban guy who kind of messed things up for me. But, he was upset that I got the part. He wanted Andy Garcia to get the part. And Michael Mann tried to tell him, look, you are a very unattractive man. We're looking for an unattractive actor. Andy Garcia is the star. He's too good looking to play you. It was a fun experience in the sense that I went to Africa, I hung out, I flew over Victoria Falls, but it wasn't a fun experience in the sense that, Will Smith was not a good guy to work with. He was surly, but, I just stay away from him. And, the world knows now how he was always, So,
exactly. Because this happened. When was the movie done? 1990.
It was done way back in 2003, 4. Yeah.
Now you are producing your own films.
It's my swan song. I've never been the kind of guy that sits and curses out the studios for not putting us on. Everybody knows that we're the most represented. Especially Mexicans, not forget about everybody else. Mexicans were the least underappreciated or represented. But when Hollywood doesn't come to me, I do my own. When I have a dress film, I did a million to Juan. That's had success. And but I've been very fortunate, more fortunate than others who are far more talented, I believe. But I'm a hustler. I'm not the kind of guy that sits at home and goes and waits for Hollywood to come to me. I'll make my own. And
So to Juan, a million to Juan. That was your own. You put all of that movie together with talent, money, finding the monies, and everything.
yeah, having friends is worth more than money. I just called upon Edward Olmos, and I called upon all the people. Paul Williams, a great musical writer. If you look at that movie, it stands the test of time because there's no magic. You put good people in a role, and they'll make you look good. What's there to it? The girl that runs her and her husband Valenzuela, they run the theater.
Jose Luis Valenzuela and Evelina.
Evelina was wonderful. When you look at her heart breaks, her daughter dies. Just, everybody there. All I have to do is just point the camera. Tony Plana, come on, the guy studied at the National Academy of Arts. So I've always worked with my betters. And I just did it again. And I think
yes, which brings us to Holy Cash. This is your new film that you produced and put together, and I saw a clip at the Mexican American Film and Television Festival, and the whole room was just busting out in laughter.
And if the Lord can forgive me, he can forgive a crackhead like you. How much did we make?
$34,700.95. It's well.
Oh. Hey.
Thank God.
I am in hell. Oh, God.
I want to hear the word of the Lord.
Oh, real. What order do you belong to?
Restraining.
I'm talking about you. You ain't like a man.
Preacher Pablo, sinners.
Preacher Pablo is here for you, not for me. It's for you.
Tell us about that film.
Some clips, everybody knows some trailers are better than the movie, and some movies are better than the trailer. I think I got an even thing here. What happened was that I had quadruple bypass. I'm laying in the hospital. I'm kind of upset that I survived. I've done everything there's to do. I have a wonderful son. He doesn't need my money. And I had made peace with everything. I'd come from New York and I got COVID over there before anybody knew what COVID was. Like me, I'm always a pioneer. First disease, I'll take it. And, and I was at the golf course with a friend of mine, happens to be a big time doctor. By the grace of God, he was there when I had my heart problems. I said, look, Dr. Agron, I'm going to go to Tarzana, lay down. I'm tired. I just came back from Canada. I'll be okay. He goes, no, let me take your blood pressure. And his eyes bulged. He goes, I've never seen blood pressure this high. I have no idea how are you standing, So I said, he says, you got to go to the emergency room. I fought him. I said, no, look, I know me. I'm old. I just got to get some sleep. Thank God he insisted. 6 hours later, I was under the knife, quadruple bypass. I come out of surgery. My son's there. I'm going through this terrible depression. It's all over. What am I going to do now? Who's going to hire me with this medical problem? And my son told me something that I had told him a long time ago. I said, Paulie, whatever got you there will keep you there. When he was going through this, I'm too old to be a skateboarder at 28. Oh my God, what are you talking about? I said, get back on that skateboard, And he threw it back at me, He said, Dad, what got you there will keep you there. And then he said, what got you there? I said, stand up. He said, well, get out there in the clubs again. And I did. It made me happy. My material got better. But before I left the hospital, I started to sketch some ideas about a movie. And my surgeon friend, he said, what are you doing, Rodriguez? I said, this is an idea for a possible, independent, low-budget movie. He said, give me here. He read it. The next day, he gave me $60,000. I said, wow. Most of the time, you give doctors that kind of money. They don't give you, And that picked up my spirits. My son threw in some money. I had sold my house. I threw in some money. And then, just ordinary people started throwing small budgets, but it added up. I had my dentist. He gave me $10,000. A friend of mine, $5,000. Everybody just helped. Before you know it, I raised $1.5 million. We shot this movie in the middle of COVID. And then what do I do now? Just a bunch of pieces, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. It was terrible. So I called upon my betters. I got Luis Guzman, who's probably one of the biggest Latino stars.
You got big names in this.
I got Danny Trejo. You're bigger than that. I got Catherine Bach. You remember Daisy Dukes?
Yes, of course.
It's all my friends. I got the best comics out there. I got Felipe Esparza. I got Jerry Garcia. I got Jay Moore. He's married to the owner of the Lakers. Hey, you can go around there. And, you get talented people and they do talented work. And everything came about. I didn't know anything about editing. So I went to my friend who works with Adam Sandler. They directed me in the right way. Editing is an art form. That's really where a movie's made. They cut it together. And you know what? They screened it and I go, praise God. It really is funny,
I already want to see this movie. The theater already wants to show it. There's this buzz, and you still haven't even told me what it's about. What is the premise of the film?
Very simple. Two like con men, criminals who've been in and out of jail, doing life on the installment plan. Jay Moore and myself, in and out. And this last time we come out, they tell us, look, one more time, you're in there for life. So we're looking for a con that's lucrative and less dangerous, right? And we hit upon religion. Tony Plana, another great actor who's in it, he plays this Catholic father, has Catholic charities. He's on TV, and he passes away. And then I go over there and I take over. I take over his thing, but we're not being very successful. So I show business it up. I become Walter Mercado with a cross. And,
don't tell us more, because you want to leave something.
Oh, there's so much. But the whole thing is that we start making money using God, and God doesn't like it. And it's basically that's the story. I went down to South Central Los Angeles, and I got the good folks at the Baptist church to open their arms, and they're charging very little. And I use their choir. It's got great music, and I used Ari Spears as this flamboyant preacher named Dr. Reverend Willie Dollars, who I had done time in jail with, and he sends me to a reverend school, and we do that, and we start making our own scam.
You're doing a little bit of a Tyler Perry kind of thing, right? Because he works a lot with church themes,
Yeah, but I'm different. I'm a Chicano healer, and just it's not a new idea, but I think that it'll resonate with people. It's not a racial thing. We got blacks, we got whites. It's just about these two guys trying to get over on the system. The jokes are there, and I'm happy with it. People are when they screened it. If it's good enough for AMC, it's good enough for me. And we're gonna let that go.
So tell me, you've had such a rich life and such a wonderful career. Tell me one of the highlights that you had that you still are amazed that it happened.
I had dinner with Nelson Mandela in Africa.
No.
I knew Cesar Chavez since I was 9 years old. I have met Princess Kings, and I have met the homeless gang members, borrachos, the whole strata. And everybody's interesting. Everybody has a story to tell. And I've been very, very lucky. I'm a happy guy. When I fade away, it won't be bitter. I'm not blaming anybody, because I've had a wonderful life, And if I pass away tomorrow, don't cry for me, Argentina. I have no regrets. It's been wonderful. I've got a wonderful son. I'm proud of him, and I go away not mad, but just fade away very happy.
Well, Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bel. Thank you. You are a pioneer. We've been around a long time. You've done a lot of great work. God bless you for our friendship over the years, and thank you for your airtime, and for all the people watching me. Hey, just smile, baby. Nobody gets out of this alive. Have fun in the meantime.
Gracias. Welcome back to Insight. And thank you, Paul, for sharing what is important in life. We are wishing you the best when your film premieres. Remember that name, everyone. Holy Cash, starring the one and only Paul Rodriguez. I, for one, am looking forward to seeing it. And now let's get back to comedy. According to Bloomberg.com, stand-up comedy has tripled in size over the last decade. Platforms like Netflix have capitalized on the cost-effectiveness of producing comedy specials, which in turn has given stand-up comedians a chance for more visibility, and it leads to more of a following, which leads to a bigger paycheck. Streaming platforms are able to target specific diverse audiences, with stand-up comic headliners being the key to attracting certain demographics. In the end, this bodes well financially for the platform and the comedian. and no other platform does comedy specials like Netflix. According to Netflix article, 10 Years of Stand-Up by the Numbers, comedy tours have seen a 127% increase in attendance in 2002 versus 2019. The largest audience attending a Netflix tape special was for Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias' show, which sold out Dodger Stadium with a total of 50,000 tickets. And the most streamed comedy special in a measurement week, according to Nielsen, was Chris Rock's Selective Outrage, Netflix's first ever live event. According to Pollster, all of the top 10 touring comics are comedians with a Netflix special. More than 60% of Netflix viewers saw at least one stand-up title in 2022. I am glad that more and more stand-up comedians are getting a chance to get their specials seen by audiences all over the world. And if any streaming platforms are looking for new comics, here are my suggestions for a few comedians that need their own comedy special. Willie Barcena, Tanya Chacha Sandoval, Melissa Villaseñor, and Chris Estrada. And that's just a partial list. That's it for Inside with Bel today. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to support your local stand-up comedian. Go to a comedy club, watch their comedy specials, and go watch Paul Rodriguez's new film, Holy Cash, so we can all have a great laugh. We'll see you next week on Inside with Bel.